Friends, welcome to the Word on Sunday, a platform to reflect and pray with the scripture readings of every Sunday. For this fifth Sunday in Ordinary Time, for the first reading, we listen to the splendid story of Job and the way he questions God amidst the sufferings and challenges that he had to face and endure. It is said, when life challenges us, we often say, "Why me?" But we could also say, "Try me." The three dimensions of life are presented in today's readings. First, there is harshness of life. Two, Jesus relieves us from this harshness of life. And then, as disciples, we are preaching what Jesus is asking us to do. What is the harshness of life? For some of us, sorrow seems to be the very essence of life. Life ceases to be an adventure and becomes a kind of drudgery. Suffering seems to be a permanent fate and runs its course. There is distress, there is torment. Every day of life presents itself in multiple ways, and one could eventually or possibly question why this suffering. And Job is not an exception to the rule. He questions the harshness of life. 2. Jesus relieves us. Jesus knows the harshness of life because he is one of us. He is touched by our distress and relieves us from disease and demons. He brings in the reign of God, peace and fulfillment. He binds our wounds and heals our infirmities. His healing power goes out to all. And finally, as disciples, amidst the distress of life, we are to preach the message. Paul identifies himself in the second reading as the messenger of the gospel of salvation. This is not if he preached the gospel, but how he preached the gospel, besides experiencing all kinds of distress. Preaching was his destiny. It is said by St. Francis of Assisi, quote, "Preach the gospel always. If necessary, use words." Preach even through our life situations, maybe like Job, amidst disease and distress. Paul identifies himself weak with the weak. He does not disassociate himself from the realities of life, distress, disease, and demons. Just as we easily identify with Job in his suffering, so should we identify with Paul in our commitment to preach the gospel as disciples for evangelization. Jesus addressed the needs of his time, and so did Paul. Now, as disciples, it is our turn. We are the disciples who must bring the good news to the distressed, the deceased, and those possessed by demons, to the brokenhearted. In the gospel reading, Jesus is grasping the hand of Simon's mother-in-law, raised her up. It is an allusion to the resurrection event. Then once she is made well, she began to serve. Diakonia. Already she is engaging in ministry. Paul was raised from where he was, from persecuting the church, to preach and serve so that he could be an authentic apostle of Christ. Paul was raised to preach and to save. And so the mother-in-law of Peter, she was raised. Jesus grasped her hand and she began to serve. As soon as we allow Jesus to grasp, we embrace the life of resurrection from disease, distress, and demons and begin to serve. Diakonia. So the tagline for this Sunday would be distress, disease, and diaconia. The fact that Jesus helped her up is an allusion to the resurrection event. Ancient world illness was thought to be considered as if somebody is already into the grasp of death and power of death. The fact that Simon's mother-in-law waited immediately on them shows that she was relieved by Jesus and ready to embrace the diaconia like Paul did. So, amidst the distress of life, disease of life, and all kinds of demons surrounding in our life, Jesus grasps our hand like God did with Job, like Jesus did with Peter and Peter's mother-in-law, and Jesus did with Paul. He raises us up. He grasps our hand from distress, from disease, from demons. He heals us so that we can truly engage in diaconia. Father Praveen Lakkisetti, here at St. Pius X Catholic Church in San Antonio, Texas. Thank you and God bless.